In this session, we are going to work on desensitizing you to the fear of rejection. Now, this is going to require a great deal of self-honesty and a sincere willingness to allow all of those fearful, resistant thoughts and feelings to come up so that we can effectively process them out. As we get into this, I want you to remember a couple of things. You're not manufacturing new fears as we go through this process. What's happening is we're keying into the very things that have been in your subconscious that are causing you to self-sabotage. So that outreach that you can't seem to get yourself to do, you have a fear in your subconscious mind that keeps getting triggered, and your subconscious mind is doing everything it can to protect you from going to that uncomfortable place. The problem is obvious. When you avoid making the calls or sending the emails or doing the presentation or asking for the sale, you're going to fail. You're going to fail in your business. You're going to fail in your career. You're not going to make enough money. And you're going to obviously perpetuate this pattern of self-doubt and insecurity and scarcity. And we need to just say, enough is enough. I'm going to be completely vulnerable with myself. I'm going to be completely willing to look honestly at what I am so afraid of so that I can allow myself to process this out, to release, and to let it go. I'm going to put this thought into your mind and feel into this. As a child, terrified of the dark, is it that there really is something lurking there that is going to jump out and get you? Or is it that the mind has this image, this scary image that is not actually based on reality? It's not a fact. Now, you may recognize that some of your apprehension, some of your fear of rejection is like that example. But there's also going to be the other types of images, memories of when you felt truly hurt, when you did experience rejection from someone you held in esteem. And that pain was real. And maybe the repercussions of being rejected, they were negative. And so now your mind has evidence to validate why you should be apprehensive, why you should be concerned, why you should be afraid. But then ask yourself, does it serve you to continue to be controlled by that old memory? Could you feel differently about it? So we all have some irrational fears and some seemingly justifiable fears. We're going to clean all of that stuff up so that you're able to conduct yourself with more composure. And when rejection does happen, which may not necessarily be a direct reflection of how someone feels about you, could be that really your product or service is just not the right fit or it's not the right time. But even if that rejection is personal, there certainly is a better way that you could feel about it. And so what we want to do is we want to desensitize ourselves to the projection of fear, the projection of that negative thing that we do not want to happen, but we believe could happen, that thing we're trying to protect ourselves from. If we can desensitize that fear of hearing the no, we can desensitize ourselves from hearing the click on the other end of the phone when someone hung up on you. If you can desensitize yourself from the rude comment that somebody responds back to your message. If you can begin to desensitize yourself, it doesn't mean that you don't have respect in those interactions. To the contrary, it means that you can hold yourself in a more composed state and you're not allowing those irrational negative feelings to become a constant obstacle to your success. So take a nice deep cleansing breath. And I'm going to ask you to be very honest with yourself right now. Are you truly willing to release and let go of your attachment to trying to protect yourself with fear? If there is, in fact, a better way that you could feel, are you willing to release and let go of your attachment to trying to protect yourself with fear? Now, I want you to recognize that this releasing process is really about a surrendering, a releasing, and allowing that energy that comes up when you feel the uncomfortable feeling to allow it to come up. So instead of pushing it down, instead of pushing it away, instead of trying to think of something else or avoid the uncomfortable feeling, you're going to acknowledge it's here. That feeling is inside of me. It is something that gets triggered. It is something that has been in my subconscious mind, and I'm willing to release and let it go. Willingness, not willpower, willingness is a spiritual principle. Your willingness is an incredible, powerful mechanism that allows you to acknowledge and release. When you experience the uncomfortable feeling as we go through this process, remind yourself, I am willing to release all feelings. There is always a better way that I can feel. There is always a better way that I can think about something. There is always an improvement that I can make in the position that I've been taking on this subject. And I'm willing to release my rigid attachment to whatever that old pattern was, whatever that old bias was, whatever that old fear was. Okay. So now notice what you're feeling and let's start this releasing process. So whatever you're feeling, that I don't care what it is. Maybe you're annoyed at me. Whatever you're feeling, are you willing to let it come up and just let it pass through? Acknowledge it is what it is. I feel this negative feeling. Regardless of whether or not my mind justifies it, there is a better way that I could feel. It does not serve me in the achievement of happiness or success, and I'm willing to release and let it go. So notice, what are your thoughts on this whole rejection thing? And are you willing to observe the thoughts, acknowledge that you have those feelings, and are you willing to let it come up, let it pass through, just start to breathe through it, release and let it go. Now, as you say to yourself, yes, I'm willing to release and let it go, there are a couple of different physiological things that you may begin to notice. An obvious sensation when we're releasing and letting go of heavy emotions, heavy feelings, is a feeling of relief. Now, if you're experiencing a lot of upheaval, then there's a lot of energy to release. Just be present with it. It will pass. Be willing to let it do its thing and process out in its natural, normal, healthy way. Now, sometimes we experience resistance to releasing. We experience what feels like contraction. It feels like it's stuck, it's not moving. That's where we're keying into one of those beliefs that your subconscious mind is really holding on to. That belief is that I need this belief. I need this fear. I need to be defensive. I need to be adverse to that in order to protect myself from what I don't want to happen. And so there again is that unwillingness to process out the feelings, as though somehow by holding on to the fear-based belief or the fear-based feeling, you're actually doing yourself some kind of favor. When in fact, all you're doing is making yourself feel awful and you're keeping yourself stuck in that old pattern instead of being willing to release and let it go and see what's on the other side of that. Because your mind is saying something bad is on the other side. Well, that's not true. When you release and let go of negative, dense energy, you naturally rise up because your natural state of being is a higher vibrational state. It's a feeling of well-being, a feeling of inner peace, a feeling of love, a feeling of acceptance, a feeling of inspiration. Notice all of those are higher vibrational mental emotional states. And so your willingness then to say, I'm holding on, but I'm ready and I'm willing to release and let this go. That's what's going to allow the energy to start to shift. And remember, you can always just release a little bit at a time, just a little bit. So it feels very safe and it feels very comfortable. Okay. Now, we also may notice yawning. Um, Sometimes when we're releasing really old unconscious patterns and programs, the body will physically start to yawn. And it feels like it's very obvious. It's not because you're just all of a sudden tired, because it is not just one yawn, it's like this constant almost yawning. That's a really good sign. That means we're releasing a lot of old, unconscious, low vibrational programs. And you just observe. Be curious. It's interesting how you've been holding on to so much of that fear. And now you're processing it out, you're releasing, you're letting it go. Okay, so think again about rejection, that dirty, uncomfortable thing. Now, we want this to be effective, so we've got to really key into your feelings about rejection. So think of a time where you felt rejected and let the feelings come up and observe them. There may be pain, there may be anger, whatever it is, let it come up. And are you willing to release and let it go? Are you willing to process it out? Are you willing to surrender those feelings? What about you? Who have you rejected? How do you reject people? How do you judge salespeople? How do you reject other business people? I want you to be very honest with yourself. Often we are afraid because we're doing it to others. And we don't want other people to feel that way about us. We don't want other people to make us feel that way. So get really honest with yourself and just Like when you're releasing out the feelings on an old memory of being rejected or a anticipation of being rejected, look at the energy that comes up when you think about how you reject other people. Are you out there trying to sell your products or services while simultaneously you have a negative attitude towards people who are out there trying to sell their products and services, making you a hypocrite? So let it come up, let it come up, let it pass through, observe the feelings, acknowledge, wow, look at that. I'm a hypocrite. I've been a hypocrite. But don't hold on to it. This is not about judging. This is about processing out. So, what are you afraid of? What are those things you need to do in your career in order to be successful that if you're really honest with yourself, you just dread doing? You do not like the way it feels. Everything that starts to come up, observe it, recognize the feelings, acknowledge it is what it is. I've been holding this stuff in my subconscious mind. I don't have to feel this way. Even if this is a common feeling that people tend to have, not everybody feels this way. I don't have to feel this degree of negative emotion. I could feel lighter about it. I could feel easier about it. I could feel more at peace about these activities. Are you willing to let it come up, let it pass through, processing it out, breathe it out, release and let it go? Think about the things that other people have told you you're supposed to do, you should do, you need to do, that you've been resisting and avoiding, begrudging. Notice the energy. Do not try to justify anything here. All we're doing is processing out the energy. We're not saying I have to start doing those things. We're saying I'm holding very low vibrational energy, and that's keeping me stuck in a holding pattern. I'm willing to release and let that go and see what higher vibrational belief or attitude or disposition or position is on the other side of this negative energy. I can see that this does not serve me, and I'm willing to release and let it go. And explore why. Why are you so resistant to those things? What is so scary about them? What are you afraid is going to happen? Remember, we've got to be very honest about the fear. We're not pulling the fear up so that we can just walk around in a state of fear. We're pulling it up so we can finally process it out, releasing it from our subconscious, setting ourselves free from a default program that is blocking our success. And as you look at these things, you may begin to notice that some of that fear is somewhat irrational. So if you're avoiding asking for the sale, you've got this fear. What is it? They're going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to reject you. They're going to say you're not worth it. You're not good enough. They're going to ask you a question that you don't have the answer to. They're going to make you feel unqualified. What is it? You're going to sell the service. You're going to let them down. You don't believe that the service is good enough. You believe that your prices are too high. Just be willing to be very, very, very honest with yourself. You may notice as you're looking at these things that there is a degree of irrationality there, or that maybe on some level you're trying to do something that in truth you're not congruent with. It does not feel like your integrity with in integrity with yourself. And Are you holding on to something from a place of scarcity? So, all of this self-honesty that we're cleaning up here allows us to open up to new possibilities, new levels of success. So, be honest with yourself about the fear so you can process it out, release and let it go, and open yourself up to either a better way of thinking or feeling about it, or a new opportunity, maybe a new way of doing things. Now, this is a very powerful exercise that we're doing, and we just scratched the surface. So, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and you can pause here if you feel like a lot of stuff is coming up that you need to be processing out and releasing on. But if you feel ready, we're going to move into that desensitization stage of things. And this is an interesting process because here we're confronting the fear and we're minimizing our old reaction to the negative thing that makes us so uncomfortable. So in this exercise, I'm going to use the fear of rejection as in people saying no to you, people avoiding you, people ignoring you, people being unkind to you. But remember, you want to sort of fill in the stuff that you're aware of is really triggering for you and use this same technique to help you to desensitize those things. So as I throw stuff at you, those uncomfortable things that you want to get more empowered around, you are going to hold the energy of, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Even if it is bad, you're going to say, not so bad. And we do this because it starts to create a psychological shift. The thing that in the past we were so afraid of, that we were so hell-bent on avoiding, it was literally subconscious. Our subconscious was self-sabotaging and avoiding and distracting and procrastinating. Now we're going to pull that stuff up and we're going to say, the thing I'm afraid of, not so bad. And that is going to allow you to soften up that resistance and fear. Okay. So practice it, whether you say it in your mind or you say it out loud, loud and proud, not so bad. And here we go. I don't like you. Not so bad. You are a sleazy salesperson. Not so bad. You are not worth my money. Not so bad. How dare you call me? Not so bad. You're a piece of shit. Not so bad. You just want my money. Not so bad. You're never going to be successful. Not so bad. I'm not interested. Not so bad. I'm not interested either. Not so bad. And you just keep hearing it over and over and over again. Not interested. Not so bad. You finally get the courage to make the phone call, and they're rude. Not so bad. I don't need that right now. Not so bad. I hired someone else. Not so bad. I'm working with that other person who's way better than you. Not so bad. I'm not interested in that kind of product or service. Not so bad. It costs too much. Not so bad. I need to think about it. Not so bad. My spouse won't let me do that. Not so bad. Go to hell. Not so bad. Take a moment now. You see where we're going with this exercise. Think about making those calls. Think about the experiences that you've had in the past. Pull up the emotions. Go through this process. What are you anticipating is going to happen if you send those emails, if you send those messages, if you make those phone calls? Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. What's the worst thing someone could say to you? Not so bad. What's the worst thing someone could do? Not so bad. Get really honest with yourself here. What are you avoiding? We want to work on desensitizing it. Okay. Now, again, pause this video if you want to go deeper with this particular exercise. If you feel like moving on, we're going to move into another exercise. This one, you're going to need to get yourself in a nice, safe, comfortable position because we're going to go into a little bit deeper state of relaxation so we can start to process at a deeper subconscious level. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, in a comfortable position, take a couple of nice deep cleansing breaths, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. Notice any residual uncomfortable feelings that we stirred up and just breathe through them. Just breathe through them, releasing and letting go. And I want you to imagine if you could see what that heavy, fearful, uncomfortable, emotional energy looked like. What would it look like? What does it look like? Does it look like thick, dark, cloudy energy like smoke? Does it look like gooey, icky, gunky energy? I want you to just notice, what does the energy of fear look like? And what does it look like? What does it feel like when you process it out, when you release it, when you let it go? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Notice that. What does it look like when you're confident? What does that energy look like? What does that energy feel like? What does the energy of courage look and feel like? What does it look and feel like when you can take actions like prospecting, like making phone calls, like reaching out to people, like asking for the sale, like handling objections? What does it look and what does it feel like when you're calm and confident? Now, I want you to use your very powerful imagination. A lot of people don't realize how powerful the imagination actually is. And we're not talking about fantasizing. We're talking about visualizing and emotionalizing. That is one of the creative mechanisms of the universe. So we're going to use that incredible divine part of you, your ability to imagine. And you don't have to be a highly visual person to imagine. For some people, they feel more like they're reliving something, like how you would experience a memory. Some people, it is visual and there's a lot of vibrant color. For some people, it's much more kinesthetic, it's more of a feeling. And for others, it might actually feel like a knowing, whatever that experience of knowingness is for you. And I say this because it's so important that you recognize there's no wrong way. There's no one right way. It's so individual. Now, using your incredible imagination, I want you to imagine you're sitting at your desk or you're wherever you conduct your sales, wherever you're doing those activities. And of course, if you're a traveling professional, that may vary slightly, but just trust whatever naturally comes up for you. And I want you to see yourself now as though you've released all this fear, all the old fear, you've released it. And there is a calm confidence about you. Just feel much more confident than ever before. Now, as we get into this, I want you to remember the exercises that we've done, the releasing, the letting go, the not so bad, because now I'm going to take you through a further desensitization process. So I want you now to imagine hearing the no, hearing the not interested, having the door shut in your face, being ignored, getting the smoke screen objections. Whatever is the typical thing that you experience that feels like rejection, let it come up and see and feel yourself just releasing it, saying, not so bad, processing it out over and over and over again. Replay it. And notice that each and every time it actually gets easier and faster to release and let go of that negative energy, to release and let go of that negative feeling. So now over and over and over and over and over and over, the no, the no, the no, the rejection, the rejection, the rejection, process it out, process it out, process it out. What you're going to notice is it doesn't feel like the rejection is becoming heavier. It starts to feel like the rejection is becoming lighter. So each and every time you release those uncomfortable feelings, you're feeling lighter and freer. You're not afraid of it anymore. You feel confident and courageous. Now, you might be thinking, Alicia, am I just programming myself for nonstop rejection? No. To the contrary, we're going to process this energy out. We're going to release and let it go. We're going on a cleaning spree. Okay? This is your spring or fall cleaning or your summer or winter cleaning, right? Clean it out, release it, let it all go. And when you notice, you're starting to just feel like, not so bad, I got this, not a big deal. Now, start to seed in some yeses. Okay? So maybe you're still hearing a couple of no's and you're still getting some rejection, but now you're starting to feel some of those yeses. Those, yes, I'd love to purchase that. Yes, I'd love to work with you. Yeah, let me grab my credit card. Yes, I can pay in full. Or, yeah, sign me up for the payment plan. But remember here, there's still always going to be some no's. So make sure that you're also still feeling the ease about those no's. And notice how it starts to feel fun because the no's really just don't mean much of anything anymore. It's just part of the process, but you get to look forward to all of those yeses. Notice how good those yeses feel, especially when they're not being bogged down by all of that old energy, that old fear of rejection. Notice how much better the yeses feel. Really amp up that energy. Really notice how good that feels. In fact, feel how it feels in every part of your body. How does it feel in your feet? How does it feel in your fingers? How does it feel in your chest? How does it feel in your head? How does it feel? Notice it. Are you smiling yet? If not, give yourself permission to smile. Prospects love smiles. Everyone loves smiles. Smile more. Feel that as you're smiling, your energy opens up even more. Your heart is open, your energy is open. You're in the vibration of yes, you're in the vibration of abundance. You're in the vibration of success. Notice how good that feels. Give your lips a little lick. Like, what's that most delicious taste that you love? What is something that, it is so good? Feeling that goodness. Make it so physical, so real, so subconscious. See yourself, imagine yourself now conducting your sales activities with enthusiasm, with confidence, with drive, with conviction. Now take a nice, deep, purifying, cleansing breath, really anchoring it in, feeling those good feelings. And when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open. And this is where we're going to end this video. You are welcome to revisit it, go through it as many times as you feel is beneficial. Remember that that old stuff, it's just old energy. That's all it is. And you've grown and you've changed in so many ways throughout your life. This is just one more way that you're growing into a more confident, empowered, successful version of yourself. And until next time, we'll see you in another session.